Welcome to this explainer. Okay, if you've been watching your search traffic lately, you know the ground is literally shifting beneath our feet. So let's just bypass the panic completely, right? Today, we're diving straight into the mechanics of answer engine optimization, or AAO, laying out a highly practical playbook for mastering Google's brand new AI surfaces.
There's a core, unavoidable problem we have to face right now. Traditional SEO gets you eligible, sure, but AEO gets you selected and cited. Just think about it for a second. You could have the most beautifully optimized page in the world, but if Google's AI decides to summarize the topic and just leaves your link entirely out of the answer, well, you're essentially invisible.
But don't worry, we've got a solid roadmap for this explainer today. First, we'll look at the two new search experiences. Then we'll peek under the hood at the answer pipeline. After that, winning the summary layer, building the journey layer, and finally measuring your success. Let's get right into it.
All right, section 1. Two new search experiences, AIO versus AI mode. You see, Google isn't just doing one new thing here, they're actually doing two distinct things. On one hand, we have AI overviews, or AIO. Think of this as the summary layer. It gives users a super fast, high-confidence synthesis for those immediate, I need it now questions. But on the other hand, we have AI mode. This is the journey layer. It's much more like an ongoing conversation where the user is making comparisons, planning things out, and refining their search. The key takeaway? You absolutely have to treat AIO as a quick synthesis and AI mode as a deep, multi-step discovery path. They reward completely different types of content.
Moving on to section 2, let's look at the answer pipeline and really get under the hood here. Okay, let's bust a massive myth right out of the gate. This isn't magic, and the AI isn't just making things up out of thin air. It's actually a retrieval system. Both AIO and AI mode run on Gemini and a framework called RAG, which stands for Retrieval Augmented Generation, laid right over Google's existing index. So what does that mean for us? It means retrieval matters immensely. Your fundamental job hasn't changed at all. You still need to be the absolute best candidate source. This system can be understood, and more importantly, we can optimize for it. Here's the crucial part. Nearly all of these AI search experiences follow a highly predictable 5-step pipeline. First, it interprets the user's intent. Second, it retrieves candidate pages from the index. Third, and pay attention to this one because it's vital, it fans out. It breaks complex prompts down into sub-questions and retrieves information for each of them. Fourth, it synthesizes a cohesive response. And finally, step 5, it cites its sources. Literally every single one of these steps is a massive opportunity for you to optimize your content.
And you really don't have to guess when the AI is going to kick in. It consistently triggers on complex question clusters rather than those old-school isolated keywords. If a user is typing in a longer, more specific query, asking the search engine to compare options, or requesting a step-by-step plan, well, the AI is highly likely to take the wheel. If you're still building content around single keywords instead of these complex, advice-oriented clusters, you are honestly missing the boat.
All right, section 3. Let's talk offense, winning the summary layer, and specifically writing for AIO. If your best insight is buried in paragraph 9, you're not writing for answer engines, you're writing for archives. I just love this harsh truth because it perfectly illustrates that AIO demands punchy, immediate extractability. Think about how we all used to write SEO articles, right? A long, winding story, a warm-up intro, establishing our expertise, and then finally giving the answer halfway down the page. It was kind of like shouting into the void. If you do that today, Google's AI is just going to completely skip right over you.
So to be citation-friendly now, every important page on your site needs what we call a reusable answer module placed right at the top. Here's the exact formula. Give the direct answer in the very first 2 to 3 lines. No warm-up, just answer the question. Bam. Then immediately back it up with evidence, logic, or specific hard numbers. Provide some options if the answer depends on context, and give the user a really clear next step, like a checklist, a tool, or a link. Finally, tack on 5 to 8 FAQ follow-ups. This highly specific format is exactly what that synthesis engine is desperately looking to extract.
Now for section 4, building the journey layer. Let's look at some AI mode tactics. When we shift over to AI mode, your goal isn't just to have one perfect standalone page anymore. It's to be the ultimate, sprawling map for an entire topic. Because AI mode acts like a winding conversation where the user constantly branches off into new considerations, a single page just won't cut it. You absolutely have to build interconnected hubs of deep content ecosystems. And you structure that ecosystem by building what we call a journey stack.
This covers every possible angle of a user's research. You need the foundations, the absolute basics and definitions. Then your site needs to seamlessly link to comparisons, X versus Y. You'll need decision guides to help them actually choose, hard proof like data and case studies to build trust, and finally, ownership content like maintenance tips and troubleshooting. If you own this entire journey stack, the AI will just keep referencing your ecosystem over and over as the user continues their guided exploration.
Remember earlier when we talked about the AI fanning out into subqueries? Because of that, you must pre-build content for these exact follow-up questions. It's like a ladder. If someone asks about a new software tool, the AI is immediately and silently going to search for things like, is it good? What are the trade-offs? Which one should I pick? And what should I avoid? If your content ecosystem explicitly answers these specific rungs on the follow-up ladder, you're going to capture an incredible amount of that retrieval surface area.
Which brings us to Section 5, measuring your success with the AEO scorecard.
You really need to internalize this major shift. You can have incredible traditional rankings and still lose visibility entirely if your competitors are simply more extractable. In classic SEO, ranking number 1 meant you won the traffic. End of story. But in our new AEO reality, if your content is fluffy, too salesy, or buries the answer, you might rank number 1 organically, but the AI overview right at the very top of the page will completely ignore you and cite the guide down at position number 4 instead. Crazy, right? So how on earth do we actually track this?
Well, the very first step to tracking this, without getting bogged down by fancy tools, is to manually build a fixed set of 25 to 100 highly relevant queries. Please don't try to track thousands of keywords right now. Pick a really tight list. Think maybe 40% informational questions, 40% commercial investigations like best of lists or reviews, and 20% branded queries.
Once you have that solid query list, just create a simple weekly tracking sheet to diagnose exactly what Google is favoring in your specific niche. You're going to track the query itself, whether an AIO is present, whether AI mode is present, the top 3 cited sources, your own citation status, did you get cited or missed, and finally, what specific format actually won? Was it a bulleted list, a step-by-step, a comparison table? Doing this manual diagnosis is incredibly powerful for spotting real patterns in what the AI actually wants to extract from your site. And listen, don't try to track everything under the sun. Just focus your dashboard entirely on these 4 KPIs. First, your AIO incidence rate. Basically, what percentage of your query set even triggers an AI answer in the first place? Second, citation share. How often are you being cited out of the total citations available? Third, competitive citation share. How do you stack up directly against your top 3 rivals? And lastly, outcome delta. Are these newly upgraded pages actually driving better conversions and higher lead quality for your business?
I want you to commit to this simplified measurement framework for your first 90 days. It really does take time to rewrite your content, push it live, wait for it to be re-indexed, and then actually watch the AI retrieval systems adjust to the changes.
The golden rule here is simplification. Track the exact same query set every single week so you can see the real trends emerge. Remember, consistency absolutely beats sophistication here. A massive pitfall right now is marketers trying to track 1,000 different metrics with a dozen different, super confusing tools. Just keep it simple, keep it fixed, and let the data tell you a story over those 90 days.
All right, before we wrap up this explainer, here is your immediate action checklist to start pivoting your content strategy right now. Start by adding those punchy 2 to 3 line answer modules to your top 10 most important pages. Next, build out that fan-out coverage, those dedicated, linked pages answering sub-questions for your high-priority topics. Do an audit of the pages where you rank high but aren't getting cited and rewrite them so they're highly extractable. Go ahead and stand up that 4 KPI tracking dashboard we talked about. And finally, pick just 3 themes and go incredibly deep. Remember, depth wins citations, breadth without depth wins absolutely nothing. I want to leave you with one pivotal question to ask your team before you publish your next piece of content. Are you structuring your knowledge so it can be easily extracted, synthesized, and cited by tomorrow's answer engines? Or are you just burying your best insights, writing for a dusty archive that the AI is simply going to skim right past? The landscape has changed, and the choice of how you adapt is entirely yours. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. Now go out there and start optimizing.